thought I saw you. We have a quorum. And now on to the approval of the amended agenda. Unless there's any objections, I will consider it approved. Which brings us to approval of minutes for the meeting on October 14th. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
Moved by Lee.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee. A second?
Seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. And any discussion? If not, Liz, you can call the roll.
Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Musse.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Vento.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Wolf.
Aye.
Zurin.
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. So now we're on to business items, and we have two joint reports from the Transportation, Environment, Community Development, and Management Committees. And I believe Councilmember Ferguson is going to take us through those.
I will, Mr. Chair. The first one is business item 2020-281. And this is for the Unified Budget Amendment. This amendment incorporates changes to the 2020 capital budget reviewed and approved by the Community Development Committee on October 19th and the Management Committee this afternoon on October 28th. The budget amendment will alter the purpose for a share of the funds in the HRA capital budget program, creating a second project for those funds. This will allow for the purchase of the second half of an existing twin home, as discussed in the presentation of the 2021 to 2026 capital budget to the council at the last meeting on October 14th. The motion is the Metropolitan Council authorizes the 2020 unified budget as indicated in accordance with the attached date.
Okay. Is there a second?
Lindstrom seconds.
Any discussion on that? All right, Liz, call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Musse.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Vento.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Zurin.
Aye.
And Chair Zelli.
Aye. Well, that motion carried. Chris, one more.
So the second business item that we have is business item 2020-293, adopting the public comment draft of the 2021 unified budget. This item requests that the council adopt the proposed 2021 unified budget for the purpose of gathering public comment. The property tax levies are consistent with those approved in August. Changes to the operating budget from the adopted August preliminary budget were discussed at the council's meeting on October 14th. These changes were to update the MVES estimate, include MND's end of session estimate for the state fiscal year 2022. 2, reduce service for the North Star to 2 daily AM and 2 daily PM trips. Reduce expenses and increase revenues for light rail. Adjust the community development budget for parks visitor study. And 5, bring in federal CARES Act money into the HRA. The capital program is up to date with amendments approved by the council in 2020 and includes planned and authorized projects through 2026. The budgets continue to and will continue to evolve due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We do expect additional changes to be included in the final adoption in December. This will include an updated November forecast. We'll update you of these changes in December. Public comment for the record will be accepted via phone, mail, or email until 5 p.m. on December 9th. The public will also be allowed to provide comment remotely at 6 p.m. during the council's meeting of December 9th. Mr. Chair and council members, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt the public comment draft of the 2021 Unified Budget.
Okay. Is there a second?
Johnson seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Any questions or discussion? This is to really approve it for public comment. We'll take the final action in December. Any questions on the budget or process? Hearing none, Liz can call the roll.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musse,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Thank you. Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. We're on to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second by Lee.
Thank you both. Any discussion? Questions? Okay. Hearing none. Liz?
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musse,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Now on to the reports of the standing committees. And we have, we'll hear a report from the community development from Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Community Development brings one item forward for consideration this evening. And first, I want to apologize. It's originally ended up on the consent agenda, but it was not the unanimous committee vote. And so I'm glad we shifted it to the non-consent agenda. And it is business item 2020-244. It's to approve the Shingle Creek Regional Trail Master Plan, and it was submitted by the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Just in summary of the project, the Shingle Creek Regional Trail runs approximately 2.5 miles through the northernmost neighborhoods of Minneapolis. The Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board first designated Shingle Creek for acquisition in 1946, purchasing about 70 acres of land and a 300-foot wide strip along 2 miles of the creek. The proposed master plan is a full and complete update of the original. It includes a few non-traditional park-like amenities along the trail in areas where the public ownership extends beyond the typical 30-foot wide corridor. The Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission voiced support for this proposal. The master plan recommendation is specific to Shingle Creek Regional Trail. And if other agencies would like to make similar proposals, it would need to go through a similar process. And I'll just remind folks that a 2016 Regional Parks System Visitor Study found that the regional trail use is not reflective of the region's population. And specifically, the study found that the trail users are more likely to be white, older, and male. And this master plan take steps to address that. And in 2018, the update to the Regional Parks Policy Plan added a process in Chapter 7, Strategy 1, where an agency may request the addition of new non-traditional activities and facilities. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that Metropolitan Council approve the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board's Shingle Creek Regional Trail Master Plan, including the supplemental information provided in the clarification of submittal for Shingle Creek Regional Trail Master Plan letter dated September 2nd, 2020, and that we require that Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, prior to initiating any new development of the regional trail corridor, send preliminary plans to the Environmental Services Assistant Manager at the Metropolitan Council's Environmental Services Division.
Lovely. Thank you, Councilmember Lilligren. Is there a second?
Second by Chambliss.
Thank you, Councilmember Chambliss. Any discussion? The non-traditional use is a skateboard park. Is that what I understand? Right. Any comments, questions, thoughts about it?
Mr. Chair, this is Councilmember Wolf.
Yes.
So I was the one who voted against this. Not because it's a bad plan. I think it's a fantastic plan, but because it's treating the Minneapolis Park Board's properties differently than the rest of the region. We have many places where regional trails go through local parks, and essentially that's what's going on here. Is this regional trail goes through kind of a series of local park areas that are owned by Minneapolis because their regional park agency and their local park agency are the exact same thing. And in other parts of the region, you have similar setups where a regional trail goes through a city park and could have the exact same amenities, but none of those city park amenities get paid for by the regional park system. They're the responsibility of the local government, the city government, to provide those park opportunities. So this is a skate park and a Tacraw court and pickleball courts. And pickleball courts are very firmly in our system as local amenities. Throughout the region, there's pickleball courts and tennis courts in local parks, and we don't have tennis courts and pickleball courts in regional parks, as far as I know, anywhere in the system. So I voted no because I think it sets a precedent that now any regional park agency that has a wide spot in the corridor could put local park amenities saying that they're trying to get people to come to the regional parks. And I think that's fine as long as they turn that land over to the local park agency and let them pay for it, or pay for it with dollars that are not council dollars, because those things will now count towards visitor time and square footage for the money that gets distributed by formula, further disadvantaging park agencies that don't get very much money. Minneapolis gets the most of anybody. And I think we should be treating Minneapolis the same as all of the other park agencies that have to pay, the other cities that have to pay for local park amenities out of local park dollars. Like I said, it's a great plan. I just disagree with the way that it's funded. And that could have been handled by saying anything outside of the trail corridor is City of Minneapolis responsibility rather than regional park. But the City of Minneapolis Park Board elected not to do it that way. And after long discussion, MPOSC agreed. Mr. Mullen told them that that does not set a precedent for other agencies, but I don't see how it couldn't set a precedent that every other agency could apply for money for essentially local park amenities next to a regional trail. So that's why I'm going to be voting no.
Got it. Thank you, Councilman Wolf. Does anybody else like to weigh in on this? Maybe Councilmember Barb.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question. I see that Emmett is on the line. Is there an example of this anywhere else in the park system where there hasn't been a clear, well-defined delineation between the regional and the local parks?
Mr. Chair and Councilmember Barber, thank you for the questions. Councilmember Wolf, thank you for your comments. There are historically grandfathered in local park amenities in the regional park system, and as the council member points out, those aren't counted in our use estimates, which do inform our funding formulas. What's different about the Shingle Creek proposal is in 2018, the Regional Parks Policy Plan was updated. And with that update, we added a process by which an agency can request inclusion non-traditional activities into the regional park system. And Minneapolis did follow that process to a T. They did delineate at Shingle Creek parts of the park that would remain local. So the community center, the tennis courts, there's baseball diamonds, but they did propose a number of other facilities for inclusion in the regional park system, including a skate park, CPAC Takra courts, and pickleball courts. And Minneapolis is building these to a regional scale because these were things that they heard in their engagement process. So we have had a lot of deliberation at the Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission. They listened carefully back in February. They actually had Minneapolis formally withdraw it so they could resubmit it with additional information, which Minneapolis did. After they did, another robust conversation ensued at MPOSC, and all commissioners either voted for it. There were 2 abstentions, but nobody voted against it at MPOSC. So I hope that helps answer your question, Councilmember Barber.
Thank you. I have a quick follow-up, if that's okay, Chair.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just curious, how do you define the difference between building the amenities at a regional level for something like pickleball and the skate park? Just curious.
That's a great question. And I asked that same question to the Minneapolis Park Board, so council members and Mr. Chair. They said that when it's built to a regional scale, they're really building it to attract visitors from across the region, number one. Number two, they're building it with the natural resource base in mind. So they're really putting swales in and other things to manage the stormwater. They're going to build in natural features into the design. They're placing these amenities in ways that will bring people into the regional trail and bring them down to the creek and other things. So I hope that helps Councilmember Barber.
And I know Councilmember Atlas Ingebrigtsen, who had trouble with her audio earlier, but are you able to make some comments now?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I have experiencing some low network quality, so please, if you notice a weird break, if you could, no. So one, I just want to apologize for having not been at the very beginning of the conversation. This particular project is one that MPOSC is particularly excited about. It is the fruition of work that councils and tech commissioners have worked for probably about 6 years. The thing that Parks has done has really been to push one of our first steps to equitably engage and listen to residents, especially those who are part of populations who have been underrepresented and underengaged in regional planning. And in the case, this is one of our first projects that have come out after having gone through the efforts that our work, our staff historically have put together and that MPOS has really championed, which is to listen to the population and put together a design that is responsive. So one of the questions was about the regional nature of skate parks. One of the best illustrations that came up in our conversations at MPOSC about this is that we never question putting a playground in a regional park. Regional parks all have playground. One of the most underserved populations by age in regional parks are those ages 14 and older. Skate parks are parks that really appeal to that group, and they are regional by nature. Regardless of size or location, populations travel.
I think we've lost you, Linnea. It's a little choppy and.
Little choppy.
No, now you're back.
I'm back. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I wish I could say about my at this moment, but it's just or actually internet. So long story short, I just want to say that this is something that communities have been asking for. Our MPOSC has and staff have worked to provide a way for new populations to identify the resources they want to see in regional parks and for us to be responsive. And so it's with a tremendous amount of pride and excitement that this plan is the first through that. And I'm excited to see what will come next. And I really encourage my colleagues to support the process that staff have laid out and that MPOSC has supported, and that we continue the way we have with many other projects and processes and support this very important equity work. Sorry for the bad.
No, thank you for your comments. I think you came. Did everybody hear, Linnea? I did at the end. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Other comments, questions, reactions, thoughts? Councilmember Chambliss.
Yeah, just a quick reaction that, I think it's a great plan. I want to respect that cities can, define their parks and recreations as they have done in Minneapolis. And what was maybe once traditional can change over time, and we need to continuously assess the needs, and especially throughout the both throughout the region and locally. I agree with making the extra effort to ensure that we have use of the parks by all communities. And I see that MPOSC and Met Council have worked to do that. So I'm going to be in agreement with this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Deb, Barbara.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with actually everything that's been said on sort of both sides of this a little bit. So I do think there was space built into the update of the regional parks plan for something like this. I just want to ensure that this really does get applied across the region. I know there have been questions with some of the other parks in different areas of the regions prior to this. And so I just want to ensure that going forward that in a similar circumstance that the same consideration is given.
I see some head nodding, which is not official, but some approval. And Wendy Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with what Councilmember Barber said. I would just remind my colleagues that currently the regional park system is way, way underfunded. And the most that we ever got to in terms of paying for operating costs was 17% back in the early 2000s. And it's been dropping steadily since then, where we're down below 10% of operating costs are being funded through the legislature, although they're supposed to fund 40%. So I'm concerned that even as much as people would like to offer more things be paid for by the regional system all over the system, the funding is not following. So I will still vote no, because I think we need to prioritize on the truly natural and let the local system take care of the sort of more active amenity sort of things. Thanks.
Councilmember Fedson.
Thank you, Chair. I move approval of business item number 2020-244.
All right, I think we have a motion on the floor, but
Chair.
I appreciate that.
I'll make a second if there's already a motion on the floor. This is Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson.
Thank you. You're coming in loud and clear, and it is fully moved and seconded. But maybe I just want to gather a few more just comments, and then I think we'll be ready. We're ready to vote. And Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really do appreciate, the issue being raised from, again, somebody in Plymouth who has a very vibrant park system out here, and having Three Rivers Park District actually headquartered in Plymouth, serving Plymouth and, of course, my district and well beyond. We did have, is this something, in proximity to something that the regional parks are already doing, or is this something that we should be doing at the local level, and trying to not duplicate each other's work or step on each other's work? And when there was opportunity, it was always good to work with the park district, because we might have joint projects in similar corridors, areas where we could get economies of scale. So, I do recognize that funding is always an issue, and I do appreciate the comments about, well, if something like this comes up in the future, that it be looked at similarly. And yet I think, it's good to bring up a note of caution. I agree with everything that Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson said. We built a skate park in Plymouth, gosh, that was probably over 15 years ago. And we did it for all the reasons that she mentioned, right? We wanted to have access to our parks for a very underserved population, and as our community was growing in diversity. And I will say, we got people from all over the place coming to our city park. So with that said, I just want to mention that it doesn't go without notice that this was a very good discussion. I will be supporting the motion, but I also do it with, a note of caution that we have to be careful, in that delineation of local projects versus regional projects.
Okay, I think we're ready to take this to a vote. I will say that this conversation is a good one, and the points were well made, and both the balance of regional, local, but also the importance of making these investments that clearly have an equity component that is otherwise underserved, high priority for the council. So that said, with no objection, I'm going to ask Liz to call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren, Oh,
Aye.
thank you. Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musse,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Nay.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. Onto the Environment Committee that has reports on the consent agenda, as does the Management Committee. Next is the Transportation Committee. Council Member Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2020-275 as a same week item is to request that the council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with the Metropolitan Airport Commission for the South Garage facility. Metropolitan Airports Commission, MAC, and Metro Transit want to execute the agreement for the purpose of extending Metro Transit's use and occupancy of the South Garage facility in support of its public transit operations. The South Garage facility supports Metro Transit's operations in the Southern Metro region. The South Garage facility is strategically located to operate key local bus routes serving the South, East, and North Metro and serving diverse and historically underserved communities. The proposed action supports stewardship outcomes and promotes sustainability by ensuring the region's existing transit resources are maintained in a good state of repair, thereby providing efficient, reliable, and safe service. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute lease agreement 20010 with the Metropolitan Airport Commission for the South Garage facility in the amount of $10,941,576.91.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Coming second.
Thank you, Molly. Any discussion? I will say this is hard to secure this kind of a lease arrangement in a really important part of the metro. So we're lucky to have it. Wendy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree. This is a very important facility for us. It's unfortunate that it's so expensive and that we can't get a longer lease and lock it in, because it is absolutely essential with the proximity to the mall and so many routes. It's a very, very important facility.
I will note at the danger of saying this publicly, we have a slightly better deal than the adjacent property, which is leased to MnDOT, but nonetheless, it would be nice to have something about it.
Well, and Mr. Chair, just one comment too. I think there's, it's important to note that the airport, pre-COVID anyways, was looking at expansion, and there were definitely questions on their side whether or not they would want to continue and extend the lease at all, as there were other uses for that property related to air transit and some additional road construction that was going to come that would maybe change the ability to use that property for freight and for other things. So I think it's good that we're getting it locked up for a period of time, and I'm sure we would like to have had a longer lease, but that's our negotiations. So.
Thank you. That's an important point that we need to understand is long term, we need to be keeping our eyes open.
Right.
Any other thoughts here? No? All right, Liz, I think we're ready to call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss, Chambliss, Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. Great, thank you. That motion carried. And I believe the other two items on the Transportation Committee were moved to the consent agenda. So that brings us on to our last item, which is the joint report of Environment and Community Development Committees. And that's Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. There are two items for consideration from the joint committees. The first is business item 2020-233. It's to authorize a 2040 comprehensive plan for Watertown and to approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. The recommendation from the Community Development Committee is to authorize the City of Watertown to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect, and guidance for the city related to the local water management plan, also to a parcel that was enrolled in the agricultural preserve program after the city's 2040 plan submittal, and finally to implement the advisory comments in the review record for forecast, land use, water supply, and housing. And the recommendation from the Environment Committee is to approve the City of Watertown's comprehensive sewer plan.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second by Barber.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss, Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. Thank you. That motion carried. One more item, Robert?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. It is item 2020-239 to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the City of Lino Lakes and approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. The recommendation from Community Development Committee is to authorize the City of Lino Lakes to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect and to revise the city's forecast downwards as shown in Table 1 of the review record, and guidance to the city reflecting the numbers provided in the August 2020 supplemental material. Also, authorization of the city's 2040 comprehensive plan does not confer approval of the proposed post-2040 improvements to CASA 14 and on the new alignment across the north portion of Peltier Lake to 80th Street, the new interchange constructed at both I-35W and I-35E. This road is not in the Council's 2040 comprehensive 2040 Transportation Policy Plan, and also to implement the advisory comments in the review record for regional parks, transportation, forecast, and water supply. The recommendation from the Environment Committee is to approve the City of Lino Lakes Comprehensive Sewer Plan and advise the city that the wastewater plan contains 2 sets of forecasted sewer growth that are inconsistent with each other, and that the council will base its level of wastewater service commitment on those growth forecasts shown in Table 8-1A that are consistent with the council's forecasts and other growth forecasts within the plan. Also, to require the city to contact the council at the time of local planning activities are initiated for 2 future trunk sewer improvement projects, and to require the city to submit to the council a copy of the executed intercommunity service agreement between White Bear Township for the use of trunk water sewer facilities located along Centerville Road in the township. The use of the township's trunk sewer will provide service to the city's service district board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Vento seconds, as does her dog.
We had 2 seconds from Councilmember Vento's family. And any discussion? All right, Liz, call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss, Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Musset,
Aye.
Turner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
and Chair Zelli.
Aye. Well, that motion carried. I have no report or reports, except I do want to thank Jim Alexander, who gave us a little walking tour of part of the Southwest corridor, the Kenilworth corridor, which was great. A non-quorum group came with him, and then I think there's another opportunity to see, kind of get a walking tour of all the progress of the project on Friday at 4 o'clock, if anybody is still interested. Let me or Jim or somebody know. Does any other council member have anything they'd like to share? Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier this week, Monday night, I was invited to the District 1 Community Council on the east side of St. Paul, which covers a lower quarter of the east side of St. Paul that I represent. And Tracy Kinney on our park staff was there to talk about the parks policy plan draft amendment and the invitation to, for public comment. And it was a great conversation. And I just wanted to commend Tracy and Emmett and the folks on the team and all of our staff for all the work that they do that may or may not go recognized in these times, and in general as they continue to do outreach and communications in our communities to our constituents, whether or not we ourselves as council members are also invited. And I just wanted to thank them and commend them as staff for doing the hard work of engagement in communities.
Hey, thank you, Councilmember Lee, and it really emphasizes the work of engagement is a important and shared responsibility for all of us. Staff does a great job. Anybody else have anything to share? Councilmember Johnson?
Chair, this is. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You next. Go ahead.
I just want to, again, just do a shout out to all of the graduates from the Metro Transit Technician Training Program yesterday. They had the virtual ceremony, and, we can't get together like we'd like to, but again, it's just another really great opportunity to celebrate people that have dedicated I think it was 3 years of their lives while they're still working full time and managing all kinds of priorities and really committing themselves, to a program that, eventually is handing them a great career opportunity with Metro Transit as a technician. And I have to really say the videos were phenomenal. When you can see our new team members, our family members at Metro Transit telling their stories, and especially a mother-daughter duo. But, the impact and the hard work that they've put into it, I just was really touched and moved. And I really appreciate the partnerships in that with RISE and also North Hennepin Technical College. And then, of course, Metro Transit and all of the mentors and people dedicated to putting the program together. It just, is one of those things that exemplifies why I'm so proud of this organization, because it's really about the people here that, are bringing their best every day. So it was great. Kudos to everybody.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, and thanks everybody who were able to attend. And any of us who read that article in the newspaper of the mother-daughter, it really kind of hits you. It's like, wait, that is such a great story. I realize we can build on that. Councilmember Alice Ingebrigtsen, were you coming in on audio? So did you have anything to share?
Thank you, Chair. And I would just echo your sentiment and Councilmember Johnson's sentiment. That was a really great event, and just hope we can amplify more. Just acknowledge a little bit off of Burley's comments that there's still for people to, so if you haven't made comments, or people who have not made comments, please still, I believe it's open to the 30th of the month. So please do ask friends and family and others, and share on your social media platforms for people to engage. I'd also like to just, I don't know if we recognize past council members, past staff, and current staff around the vote today on Shingle Creek. It is a culmination of work of trying to move a system over multiple councils, even Emmett's predecessor, and a number of different staff. And so one of the things that's a moniker of an institution that can move on equity is its ability to build from one body to the next as those leaders transition and change over time, and not restart the needle on an equity effort every time there's a leadership shift. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think our conversation at MPOSC and even our conversation today is an indicator of some of the challenges that can come with it. But I just want to acknowledge the years of work that went into shifting a historical way that we had done things to a new way of doing things. And so I just want to say thank you to the council members who are here, who were involved before, but also recognizing staff who are here and some staff who may be gone and leaders who may be gone that put that ball in motion. Thank you.
Right, thank you for that comment. Anybody else? Chris Fedson, do you have a?
Thank you, Chair. This is our first full council meeting since the last legislative session, special session wrapped up, and we got the bonding bill passed. And I just want to congratulate and thank you and Judd and Brooke and everyone else who is working behind the scenes. I spend, some time up at the Capitol normally, and it's kind of hard to tell who all is working behind the scenes on stuff like this under COVID, just because we're not meeting in person. But just that kind of investment in BRT, it's a huge game changer as far as the B line in my district. $5 million for I&I, 33 or $34 million for parks and trails, and it's a huge win. And I think anyone who is connected to the process just knows how difficult it is to get your priorities through, whether it's divided government or not, but I think especially under divided government. So I think the whole team deserves a huge congratulations and thank you from the full council for their work. And hopefully, looking ahead to next year, it's going to be even bigger and better.
I'm so happy you mentioned that. You know, honestly, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, BRT is a game changer. It's going so well. It's at the core of what we do. We are building a network for everybody, and particularly those lines, the D and the B line, hit so many important elements, neighborhoods and ideas that you know, we all get it so much that when I get asked by a media like, you know, how did it happen this year? And you know, part of me is thinking it makes so much sense. Why would anybody disagree? But we forget that this actually took years of work. So congratulations to everybody.
And if I really quick, if I could just add, I mean, 18 months of work around this bonding bill, 4 special sessions on top of 2 regular sessions. It's just thank you to all of them so much.
But as you mentioned, stay tuned because this is the first step, and we have a big year coming up to talk about our transit visions, what that should be over the next 10 years. So absolutely, I think we have some momentum. Thank you for mentioning that. Anybody else have a thought, comment? Mary, I know you're here somewhere. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Mr. Chair, I will pass today. I'm just happy to get that budget off to public comment. And again, just thanks to all of our staff for a difficult year in putting a budget together. So that's it.
Well, and I also want to say how much I admire Mary playing multiple roles, Marie, others. This has been a difficult year and doing it shorthanded. So, and we'll have another forecast, maybe in December. I've been saying to those that listen to me as a former bus person that I have known the transit and the bus business for 30 years, and it is very consistent. It is remarkably predictable all that time until it's not, and that's this year, and it is completely unpredictable. And what the future is just like nobody knows. So we're making some reasonable assumptions, knowing that it's probably going to shift. So hats off to those who had to frame that up in a really hard kind of moment to predict anything. Ann, did you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report.
No report. Well, it's a balmy day out in Minnesota now, and we have a few more minutes of sunshine. So I hope everybody can make good use of that. And as always, I look forward to seeing everybody really soon. Thank you for all the thoughts and all the work that you're all doing. And we'll see you soon. This meeting's adjourned. Thanks.